Some see it as a pest. Others quite enjoy its presence. Some don't mind at all. But one thing's for sure, if you're in the midst of a glaucous-winged gull, you're gonna hear it.
Hello guys, and welcome back to the Birdman, and today's topic is obviously going to be this western seabird. Before anything, however, let us first understand this bird's nomenclature, because what in the heck does glaucous even mean? Well, it is an adjective to describe something with a dull grayish-green or blue color. And the word gull? Well, gulls simply pertain to the long-winged, web-footed seabirds that we all know and love, or hate. And how about this bird's Latin name, Larus glaucans? It's really and truly exactly the same. Larus comes from the Greek laros, meaning large seabird or gull, and glaucans has the same definition as glaucous. Finally though, let's actually get talking about this bird. In North America at least, gulls can be quite similar looking, and even experienced birders can have trouble distinguishing them. Luckily for me, while in Victoria, British Columbia, I was able to distinguish these large white gulls by range and season. Speaking of, glaucous-winged gulls are very coastal birds, and their range extends year-round from Alaska to Washington along the west coast, and even as far down as the Baja California Peninsula during the non-breeding season. Within this range, this bird is heavily tied to its saltwater habitat by the ocean, and can be found by bays, estuaries, harbors, and beaches, but has also adapted to a more modern lifestyle in some cases, being found in agricultural fields, landfills, urban buildings like apartments and such, as well as bridge structures. When it comes to this bird's call, it is just about what you've come to expect from the stereotypical gull, and is probably the first sound that comes to mind. They also produce mewing and barking calls too, and in one of my field guides there are a few phonetic interpretations of these calls, which include stuff like ma'a, quo, and ija'a. But in my opinion, I'm certainly no voice artist, and I think it would be best if I just gave you a listen, so here you go. Now, as for this bird's appearance, I would say this large, pale gull has a pretty stereotypical one as well, at least for breeding adults, with its light gray wings, completely white head, breast, flanks, underparts, vent and wingtips, flesh-colored feet, and yellow bill, which also sports a little red spot, like a herring gull, if you are familiar with the inland gulls. During the non-breeding season, this gull will also acquire brown streaking on its nape and crown, giving it a hooded appearance. But of course, it doesn't end there. But first, let me explain a little something. Gulls age, like all birds, actually like all living things for that matter, but as they do, they gradually change their plumage more and more until they reach adulthood. For some species, it only takes around 2 years to reach maturity in that sense, like with Bonaparte's gulls. Others take 3 years, like the very common ring-billed gull. Large pale gulls, like our very lovely glaucous-winged gulls, however, take usually around 4 whole years to acquire their adult plumage, and every subsequent year they gain a new plumage variation, which truly makes gulls a pain for identification. However, I don't think it would be too entertaining to hear me list off all their subtleties, nor do I have footage of many of said variations, so I will gift you with this description and video of a first year I found at the Fisherman's Wharf, which, as you can see, sports an almost completely brown mottled appearance, with a completely black bill, but the same flesh-colored legs. How about the breeding behaviors of these birds though? Well, they will naturally choose to nest on the ground near coastline, often on grassy or rocky terrain, but they can also be found nesting on roofs, wharves, and other structures such as. Once the location is selected, pairs will scrape an indent into the earth and put together a rough nest of various materials including twigs, roots, moss, string, grasses, and weeds. Within the nest, the female will deliver a clutch of about 1 to 4 light grayish-green eggs. Once they hatch, they will make way for a semi-precocial infant. Semi-precocial means that the birds, from the moment they are born, are capable of living, having open eyes, already being covered in down, and having the ability to both walk and even swim. However, they still remain at the nest and depend on their parents to provide food. Speaking of food though, what the heck do these gulls eat? Well, a lot of things are the answer. They will hunt tidal areas, tide pools, and other such habitats in search of food items like chitons, limpets, barnacles, dogwinkles, and other such invertebrates, as well as fish on top of that. For tougher shelled selections though, they will partake in a fascinating behavior, flying high up with creatures such as clams, mussels, crabs, or oysters before dropping them onto hard, jagged rocks below, cracking their shells, and exposing the meaty interior. But these birds are also by no means picky, and will readily take advantage of many situations. Examples of this opportunistic behavior includes the scavenging of other birds' kills, or rooting through trash in landfills, and even ignorantly left out household food scraps. Moving on now though to the final point I'll be making in this video, and that will be this bird's conservation status, which pretty much just indicates a species' risk of extinction. and the glaucous winged gull populations, according to the North American Breeding Bird Survey, are seeming to be roughly stable, as seen in trends between 1968 and 2015. This doesn't mean that there aren't threats to this species' safety though, and threats to its kind include things such as climate change and marine pollutants like oil spills and pesticides. Ultimately, this is a low concern species though. And there you have it. I hope you learned plenty about this often overlooked bird, denizen of our western seaboard. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you'll come back for more. I'm Hank the Birdman, and I'll see you next time.